What's up, Gruntworks Nation? The Big Earl is always asking, why is China hoarding food? Experts say that China is hoarding a massive amount of food. They will soon have over two-thirds of the globe's corn reserves, over half of its rice, and over half of its wheat. But when asked about it, China lies. One China expert says they, of course, will never admit to something like that. Well, what does China know that we don't? When it comes to global food shortages, China is the canary in the coal mine. You see, China is the world's #1 food importer. They rely on the rest of the world to keep their people fed. So they can't afford to mess up, or there will be riots, civil panic, or even worse, when over 1 billion people can't eat. What does this mean for Americans like you and me? 2 words: food shortages. That's why it's a smart idea to stock up on a kit of best-selling 4 Patriots survival food. Create your own stockpile of the best-selling 4 Patriots survival food kits, hand-packed in the USA. The kits are compact and stack easily. They have different delicious breakfasts, lunches, and dinners, and their 5-star reviews on the website rave about the flavor and the taste. Right now, you can get 10% off your first purchase of 4 Patriots survival food by typing in the code VTTGW at checkout. Just go to 4patriots.com and use the code VTTGW to get 10% off your first purchase of 4 Patriots survival food. That's 4patriots.com. Use the code VTTGW.
Hey, what's up, trash talkers? Listen, it's impossible to fight, okay, if you don't know what you're fighting for. Does that make sense? Like, if you're in the dumps and you're struggling with mental health, things of that nature, it's going to continue tearing you down, all right? Because you're consistently trying to fight something, which is that demon, which is usually something from the past, right? Maybe that why needs to be fighting for your future. Let that be your why. Get the hell up and start fighting for your future. Stop fighting things that happened in the past. Easier said than done, right? Go seek help. It's okay not to be okay. A lot of people need to hear this. You are more of a warrior and a fighter if you stand up and say, hey, this has to stop. I need to go seek help. The stigma, everything has changed. It's okay not to be okay.
Here is a firm believer in all men are created equal, but not all men live equal. That is why there's a certain select number of people in the DoD who decided to jump out of airplanes. And yes, we are better than you. 100%. Now, don't be the first triggered pansy to say, well, airborne's not relevant. You haven't jumped since World War II. Well, that's not accurate, for one. And two, it's like having a jalopy or a 68 Mustang. Well, a 68 Mustang's no longer relevant. Doesn't matter. It's still a better car than yours. So take it easy this National Airborne Day and just accept that we are better than you.
So 2 things for today's Honesty Cap. First thing, how do all my boys from the 101st feel knowing that the Army decided that instead of actually making you airborne, they would just create a whole new division that's airborne because you just aren't cutting it? It sucks. Thing number 2, for all the folks who were like, oh, airborne is irrelevant, doesn't even matter. They're making a whole new division of just airborne people because they're relevant. Think about that. How's that feel? Does it hurt a little bit? I hope it hurts a little bit.
This is the Veteran Trash Talk Hour, hosted by Nick, Dave, and Buddy. Real warriors making fun of other real warriors. Try to not get triggered.
Happy Saturday, Trash Talkers. Welcome to episode 140 of the Trash Talk Hour. Special guest today is Tadpole, who will be discussing his book, War Junkie, A Cautionary Tale. And today I'm here with Buddy, and guest hosting with us is Rob. Welcome to the Dumpster Fire. Cheers. Nick couldn't join us
the
today.
dumpster's been on fire for a few minutes now. So
It has.
About
It has.
30.
And happy birthday to Nick's dad. The reason he's not joining us today is because he's been on a binger for the last 72 hours, drinking and playing golf. So happy birthday, Nick's dad. But yeah, you're not that special, Nick. You still could have joined us and came on the show. Just wanted to put that out there.
to be fair, it's my son's birthday. Well, was the
And you're
17th,
here.
but
Yeah,
I'm still
and
here.
you're here.
They just
Yeah,
had a party.
Mhm.
You know, it just
Mhm.
shows when you really when something's important, you'll make time for it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, because we're family too. No, we don't stress on that and talk about that. But apparently, the big CEO Nicholas Cottrell is too good to be on here with us. So.
Yeah.
Well, hey, let's be honest. This is going to be my, Joe Rogan intro to the podcast world. So, I'll just say that outright.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're doing
yeah.
fine so far.
Yeah. And I'll be seeing Nick here in about an hour because he is here in Arizona enjoying this beautiful weather, playing golf with his dad. So that should be fun.
Well,
to it.
Rob, you're already doing better than Nick. You showed up.
Well, there you
Yeah.
go. There you go. We have small standards.
Yeah, you should be.
Yeah.
I would say you could be a CEO, but apparently that's not part of it.
Well, thanks everybody for tuning in. We're going to switch it up a little bit today because we did have some technical difficulties, like Buddy just announced. The dumpster fire started about a half an hour ago. So we're going to roll right into Honesty Cap that Buddy has. And then after that, we'll get into our guest and discuss his book a little bit.
All right,
Buddy,
so
what you got for us, man?
he was just you didn't even lube it up. You just right in. Didn't get anything.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
No. Anyway, first thing is I'm still waiting on my 4 Patriots meals to show up so that we could start the show at like this time of day with like a rating, like a Keith Lee type situation with the 4 Patriots stuff. Like we're just eating some chili mac and we're like, we got it. We tried it. Let me tell you what the deal is. Anyway.
I tell you what, it looks really good. Real quick to that, they need to make a celiac one free, gluten allergy, like celiac disease free. Because my wife is like legitimately celiac disease, and she's gonna die.
Yeah.
She's not gonna be able to eat anything. So if I get this 4 Patriots, it's just gonna take care of me and the kids.
I gotta tell you, Dave,
Yeah.
I love your wife to death, but if the apocalypse ever happens,
They're gonna eat anything. Yeah.
you might want to start looking for number 2. Like you're like,
No, if you don't have any other
Who's,
options,
who's gonna take your place? Because celiac is not gonna be something that it does well.
Love you, baby. I know she's probably watching. Love you, baby.
Hey, or just find out, are rats gluten free? I think they are. I think you can pretty much eat all of a mouse or a cat and have not have to worry about gluten at all.
That's
period.
correct. Yeah. Good point. Good point. I have to look at cats, maybe. Yeah. Neighborhood cats. Yeah. We'll figure something out. We'll be good.
I've had dog before. It's not that bad, to be honest.
Yeah. Okay. I've never had it.
Tastes like turkey, really. Very turkey-like.
Figured such.
A little stringy.
What anyhow?
I had no idea. Anywho, Honesty Cap. So I've noticed that this is becoming a social media has like its phases where it like brings things to light, and that we use it and it like morphs and does all this other like at one point it was super annoying to me that people did promposals on like, you know what I mean? Like just ask her, like it doesn't have to be a production. Just ask the girl if she wants to go to prom or homecoming or whatever. And then like there's all these different things that people make a production out of. The latest and greatest is a guy's like these kids' last game of their senior year of football. Like everybody's out there and they're all like surrounding them and giving them hugs and stuff because it's their last game of their senior year. It makes me so angry to see people record it and like do this whole production. Mostly because to me, Honesty Cap fully on, you're just telling that kid he just peaked. That's it. That is the best you're gonna do is your last game as a high school football player. You know how fucking sad that is? Like you're like it's downhill from here, buddy. Like you're not gonna be able, like we know you're not going to college to play football. You're probably
Some of them may, buddy. Some of them may.
everything else sucks now. Like you might have kids, it's gonna suck. You might do this, everything's sucky. This was literally the last 4 years that you played with 14, 15, 16, and 17-year-olds. You're done. If you want to play with 17-year-olds again, you're going to jail. Like that's what's going down. Like this is, why are we even doing it? Why are we making a big deal out of it? You know what I did when it was my last day to play football as a senior? My coach said, turn your shit in. I turned my shit in, and then we all went and like drank beers that weekend.
Mm-hmm.
That was it. But nobody recorded it. There was no video. I don't look back at that and go, man, I remember my last day of playing football in high school. No, because then at one point I joined the Army and I did shit. I didn't record my last day in the Army. I spent more time doing that. Like, why do people make a production out of fucking everything? Why does everything have to be like feelings and just move on? I don't know. Maybe you guys can pop in. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just angry. Maybe I'm just a grumpy old man. But
who doesn't want to keep up with the times?
I'm so sick of seeing that shit pop up on my feed where like some dude is like, I really am going to miss watching these talented kids play football. If they were fucking talented, they wouldn't be not playing football anymore. They're just playing with a different team at a higher level. They're not talented. They're just normal ass kids.
I would venture to say that this happened back in the day. Social media just wasn't that big, and it happened on VHS with the big camcorders. And moms were probably recording that shit, but it never ended up on the internet. I guarantee you that shit went down back in the day. Maybe. I'm playing devil's advocate here, buddy.
You're talking about the old ones that had like the camcorder was big enough.
You got to hold them like on your shoulder, and the weight of your
VHS tape fit in the camcorder. And it was like it had like the microphone coming off of it. Like it looked like your dad looked like part of a news crew. Maybe.
Dude, my mom still has like all my birthday parties as a kid. Now she's got all the VHS tapes.
You're a child rap star. Everything
as a child. Yeah. Young child.
I'm wondering why you hate high school football players.
It's not that I hate high school football players. It's not. It is that. Like it's like everything. Like they put fucking people put their shoes on in the morning and they record it. And they're just like, this is me.
Take pictures of their food and put it on Facebook.
Yeah, like why do nobody gives a fuck? Nobody fucking cares. And when you go, hey, like nobody cares. They're like, well, why are you so fucking mean? Why are you gonna be such a hater? It's like fuck, because it's on my shit. I'm just trying to waste some time. Not looking at porn for a second. Trying to do the right thing. And you got me out here looking at
I hear it desensitizes.
Yeah. It's weird. It's just weird. I don't know. Just
hashtag ban social media, buddy. Is that your new?
Yeah. Hashtag. Hashtag. Part of a social media company doesn't like social media. Like hates it. Can't stand it. Anyway,
you're not very social.
I'm super social. I can talk all day about shit that I don't like.
You take Buddy to a party. Buddy's the guy that everybody falls in love with because he's just running around talking to everybody. Super social. Yeah. But apparently he doesn't like social media.
So it's not a reverse nickname.
You know what you can't do? You can't have a party on your phone. That's like a thing. Like, and now, oh my God, even worse is when you're like scrolling through and there's like 4 or 5 dudes in the Army, like on their little live, like looking at it, like, yo. Like,
I'm not a big fan of those. Like, and I think that's kind of like you're not supposed to be doing that anyway. Yeah. No, it's not allowed. I'm pretty sure it's not, but they're still doing it. Yeah, that's kind of all the stuff the Army has to face nowadays with the social media and everything. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's not allowed, but I know they'll be like on staff duty, bro. There'll be like a live going. It's like really,
and
they're getting their hearts and their gifts and stuff on TikTok, which are making money doing that shit too. You know,
Sugar 79. Thanks for them roses, dog. Hey, hold up. The battalion commander's calling right quick. Yo, what's up, sir? yeah, this private Schmetlap, what you want?
Yeah.
Like,
Barracks is secure, sir. Barracks is
yeah,
secure.
oh man, yeah, I'm on. It's all locked, dog. It's all locked. I got all the Riz.
Well,
we locked up
funny
in.
story for you there, buddy.
Yeah, go ahead.
Funny story. My last deployment, 16, 17, we're in the TOC, and it's supposed to be sensitive and all this type of stuff. And we're watching the Iraqi special forces, whatever that means, push into Mosul. And man, you're waiting for the S2 brief and all these intel people and ISR and all this type of stuff. Well, one of the brainiacs, one of the 50-pound brain guys, is like, "Hey, why don't we get on the internet and get on Facebook?" And we're like, "Hey, bro, that's probably not a good idea." He does it anyway, right? And it shows like every Iraqi soldier on earth and every freaking ISIS soldier on earth you're looking at their freaking live feeds. It's more
Oh my God.
more fucking time sensitive. There's more intelligence value by getting on the internet and watching these guys post, shooting at each other and missing and all this type of shit. And fucking, you're like, there's no need to do a battle damage assessment from the Apaches and the Hornets and all the AC-130s. You just watch the live stream video on freaking YouTube or Facebook, and you got real-time intelligence. And it's like, after a while, it just became a thing, man.
Yeah,
So,
you could literally call for fire on a building just from looking at what they're looking at. Like, oh, yep, that's where they're at. Just do we
Who
have
needs WikiLeaks?
yeah.
Good Lord.
Shit.
Yeah. Well, the problem is that they do it because they're stupid.
Yeah.
We shouldn't have that excuse if we're doing the same shit. Like what would surprise me now, or what wouldn't surprise me now if you told that story, but instead you were like, yeah, some private was just like in the side of the skiff, just like, yo, it's over here warring, dog. Like, okay, that's what
Well,
we're
there's
doing.
plenty of that for sure.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah, Tim in the chat says social media has gone crazy. Hey, look, I woke up, took a shower, watched me do my makeup and make breakfast. Who cares? Yeah, Kurt says, be all you can be, mofos, vacationing in San Diego. Thanks for tuning in. And then U.S. Army Combat Medic. Hey, just found this stream, 1985 to 1993. Thank you for your service, sir. Yeah, good shit. Good shit.
All right, so that's it. That was the honesty cap.
That's it. That was good.
Thank you.
That's good.
Yeah, tell your punk ass high school kid, tell your son nobody cares. Suck it up. I just miss the smell of the grass. Fucking go cut grass then, nerd.
Yeah. They might be allergic to grass, buddy.
Oh my god. Or they got celiacs. You never know.
Anyhow, we were gonna, like we said, we jumped straight into that honesty cap, so we could focus our time on you, Kirk, or Tadpole, and just talk about your book and everything. So why don't you tell the viewers who you are, what this book is about, and let's have a conversation. Thanks for joining us.
No, brother. Hey, man. Sincerely, thank you for picking my hat picking my name out of the hat. Million people that have the same story I got, man.
I don't think anybody's got the same story you have, Kirk.
No, you got some.
I read your bio.
I read your bio, Kirk. I read your bio.
I appreciate it. I guess I'm the only one talking. There's plenty of guys like me out there, man. They just either they're operational or they've passed on. And unfortunately, I hate to bring everybody down. Since I started this book, there have been 5 people that I know that have become the 22 a day, man. So just kind of and yeah, man. I mean, laugh off all the dark shit for sure, man, in your life. But on some level, man, just remember that guys out there are still dealing with shit. And I guess what my book is about, man, just kind of dealing with shit. And at some point, I just had to say, fuck it, man. I'll talk about it. I'll talk about dark stuff. And everybody's seen the, I don't know, you guys are probably similar to my age. We grew up watching the Rambo movies or, Navy SEALs or whatever. And yeah, man, those are cool movies, man. But the reality is at least one divorce, multiple combat deployments, PTSD, alcoholism, drug use, all kinds of bad shit, man. Waiting 30 days to get your records from the VA because they only work Monday through Friday. And God bless the VA people. I just hate the VA system. Just let's make sure that correct,
Man, Yeah, so you want to talk about your military service a little bit, so everybody knows what you did. I mean, we all know because, like we said, we read your bio and it's pretty phenomenal. But
Well,
for the viewers that are watching right now and are gonna, go buy your book later, they probably want to know what you did, prior to
sure.
buying the book. So
I appreciate that, man. Nah, man. If you served in our country's uniform, man, thank you for doing that. Whether you're a Sergeant Major of Delta Force or a cook in the Air National Guard, man, thank you for what you did. You're 3% of the nation's population. Let's see. Joined the Marines during Desert Shield. To be honest, man, I hated college. I hated the people. I didn't fit in. I didn't find it challenging. I mean, no offense to anybody. Let's see. I served as a Force Recon Marine. Went to the Field Radio Operator course as well. So I'm a 2531, 0321, and 8654, which is a reconnaissance Marine jumping scuba. We didn't go to Somalia, which I was sure we would after, we kind of watched it on TV. Disappointed with that. We didn't, my only real mission, I guess, was counter narcotics. If you've seen the movie Sicario, that was based on, but extremely exaggerated version of what we did during what was called Joint Task Force 6, which I deployed with. So I was in the United States in uniform, carrying a loaded weapon with rules of engagement. So that was interesting. Yeah, that was pretty neat. Let's see. Went to all the schools. Like I said, we didn't. We went to Panama for training with the various Latin American special ops guys. But at the end of the day, man, I wanted more. I didn't know what was out there, and I didn't really see a war on the horizon. Make a long story short, my platoon sergeant. I'll tell you about him later. But if you watch my Thursday's excerpts on Facebook, he's the guy that really broke it off in my ass when he caught me building the giant snowman with the giant snow penis at Camp Williams, Utah, at an Army base. But anyway, story. So after that, man, I tried to get into federal law enforcement or any law enforcement. I figured being a SWAT guy would be pretty cool. Nobody would hire me. Generally speaking, what I was told is the psychiatrist thought I had a risk-taking personality because I had speeding tickets, and I answered yes on the questions: would you shoot a machine gun, and would you jump out of an airplane? I found that pretty bizarre.
Really?
I don't know who
Wow.
I don't know who they're hiring, but they didn't hire me. So I spent the next 8 years of my life as a professional counselor, man. I moved up to Atlanta and got
Hold on. We've got to pause for a second.
We got to talk about that for a
SWAT
second.
team wouldn't hire you because you said that you would. Wait, what SWAT team was this? A and B, who are they hiring? Like guys that are like going in the door and they're like, "Oh my God, Jesus Christ, don't."
Man.
But real quick before he answers that, we had Bookham on the show multiple times. He's a police officer in New Jersey, and like the mental health system with the police is just all fucked up. Like all messed up. The one little thing, and then you lose your job, you're done, and then you don't get like pensions like we do. Like if you get out medically, it's just a whole thing. So before they even take them in, they're probably just, I'm not taking that risk. But you answer truthfully on one of those things, you're done, dude. And then you have the risk of losing everything financially. So it's
my mind. That
anyway, just hit on that, but it's crazy.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right, and that's pretty much the story. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you, man. If you look, and we predicted this back in the 90s. Like I said, I figure you guys are probably close to my age. But back in the 90s when I was in college, I hung out with, veterans and stuff, man. And we always bitched about how stupid everything was and all that. But none of us could get a job in law enforcement. And we're like, who the fuck are they hiring? And no offense to the guys that got hired. I mean, good on you. But we're like, 300 PTers and ex-military and could speak foreign languages. And these guys are like C students in college and, never did anything in the military. And it's like they barely passed the PT test. And it's like, all right. And then fast forward 30 years, you see these schools that are being shot up by crazy people. And you got these tactical officers again. Hey, I wasn't there. I wasn't, I can't.
I know where you're going out with this.
Right.
Yep.
These guys are failing to make entry. Whether that's command pressure or whether that's individual fear. And we've all been, anyone who's been in a gunfight has been fucking terrified. I'll tell you the story.
Oh, fuck yeah.
later. It's fucking scary. There's no doubt. But at some level, man, you got to look yourself in the mirror and be like, hey, man, I volunteered to do this job. You know, Johnny down the street said he wanted to work on cars. Bob said he wanted to be a fucking airline pilot, you know, whatever, you know, no offense to these occupations. I'm just saying something within us said, you know what, I'll take those risks. I'll go through training. I'll go to the gym. I'll learn weapons and tactics. And God forbid someone goes running through a school. I'm going to go in there and fucking put them down.
Yeah. That's insane. Anyway.
So you went from the Marine Corps to back out in the civilian world to deciding you wanted to go back in. Was that once the GWAT kicked off at 9/11?
Well, I went it from 97 to 2000. I was in the reserves. I was in the boat locker, and it just didn't have the same feel. You know, I can't really explain it. I just didn't get the warm and fuzzy that I had being on a team, and I didn't know any of the guys in the platoons and stuff. So I don't know, man. I can't really explain it. I just had a feeling like this wasn't for me. Like I said, I kept trying to get the law enforcement job. And you got to do something for a living. So I was a bouncer for 8 years, man. And, you know, man, I'm not proud of what I did, but, man, I had a lot of great experiences, you know, probably a lot of negative.
You get to legally choke people out doing that, don't you?
Oh, yeah. Fuck
no words needed.
I fought for
Dude, that's a CONUS choke out, man.
Yeah, we get what you're putting down.
Yeah. I fought for my fucking life sometimes, man. And it was like, God damn, man, what the fuck am I doing here? And then, you know, man, honestly, 9 times out of 10, and I don't want to say the wrong thing because I'm married to my soulmate, but let's just say I attract a certain type of woman, and I've never been good attracting women, but in this occupation, man, holy shit, I couldn't believe it, man. I'll just let you kind of do the math with that one because I don't watch it.
Totally.
But goddamn, man, 8 years. I got some stories, man, which aren't going to make it in the fucking book. That's for sure. So then the GWAT kicked off, and that's funny. So the GWAT kicked off. I said, fuck it, man. I'm going to apply to the Atlanta Police Department. I'm going to apply to the Air National Guard. They had a JTAC unit, and I'm going to apply to this new company called Blackwater. A buddy of mine knew some people there. My buddy Rusty, former SF guy, I think he said he was going to try to call in or something as a random caller. So I don't know if y'all have a call-in line. But anyway, Rusty told me to call some dude named Eric. And I'm like, all right, man. So I call this guy. I'm like, hey, Eric, I'm a buddy of Rusty. He's like, who the fuck is Rusty? I was like, well, I mean, he told me to call you. He's like, okay, I'm going to put you over to HR. So that was Eric Prince, the fucking CEO of the company. And
Damn.
so I'm like, yeah, well, fuck you, dude, you know, whatever. So anyway, I'm talking to HR, and they're like, who are you? I said, Eric told me to call you guys. You were recommended by Eric? I said, yeah, absolutely. So they're like, okay, yeah, send us your resume. I sent them my resume, and then I'm up there for training. I was on the next thing smoking like 10 days later. Went through their training, deployed to, let's see, I went to Baghdad for about 2 weeks on what's called the Mambas, which was like essentially a armored taxi service. Then I went down to Hilla for a few weeks and then over to Karbala. That was really my first combat experience or first time in a war zone. And, you know, just to touch on that, I talk about it in the book. I really wanted war. I wanted to experience it. And years later, I was like, that's a stupid fucking thing to do, man. A lot of guys got killed. I mean, it was a dangerous place, and I didn't know what I was asking for, but I think every young man probably looks at that and says, I want to go test my mettle. And that's what I did.
You know what?
Reading some of your book too. I noticed you were in Ramadi for quite a while, so I think we chewed a lot of the same dirt.
Oh, yeah.
I spent a lot of time.
Yeah.
Ramadi and Mosul to Crit, so forth. But so I guess you came back home from that and then decided you wanted to enlist or go through
and right as the the GWAT kicked off, like I said, I applied to the Air Guard, the Atlanta Police Department, Blackwater. Blackwater was the first one to hire me. So I went to Ramadi the first time, and I don't know if you guys follow any of the other podcasts like Combat Story or any of that, but there's a Force Recon guy named AJ Peshuta. He found and killed Juba. Juba was the deadliest sniper Americans have ever faced. And according to AJ, and again, we're trying to figure all this out. I'm the only person that Juba ever missed. He killed Tommy Jakner, a good friend of mine who was standing right next to me. My life was saved by an individual named Paul Fondren. I owe Paul my life. Paul Fondren saw what happened. It happened so fast, my brain couldn't process what happened. I heard a shot. I saw smoke. He fell over, and I'm looking at him trying to figure out what the hell just happened. Paul Fondren just happened to be coming up in the tower. And he yelled, "Sniper, get down!" And then it all clicked, and I got down. A crack went over my head as I remember it. Now, there's no way to verify any of this stuff. But I was talking to AJ, and he said, "Yeah, I watched the video as I was trying to figure out where Juba would go next. And you're the only person he's ever shot at and missed. So
Ooh.
just a fucking
I
miracle."
remember there were a bunch of videos online that were pretty crazy of him, like going nuts. This was back in, was it 04?
04, 05?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I was beginning phases of before the surge.
Yeah,
He
that was back
fucking
when,
nuts, dude. Yeah.
they were popping up, and they were popping up on like YouTube, like the videos of him.
Ogrish and you.
Yeah. Well, you were talking about like the feeling that you wanted to go experience war or whatever, and I think that's not a unique take on wanting to go. And I think that's one of those things, like you feel kind of like an idiot for feeling that way after you've experienced it. Like, fuck, I can't believe I asked for this. But at the same time, there is something to be said about having people that have experienced, so that they can tell these other motherfuckers. It's like when people talk about right now what's going on with Israel and Palestine, or the Ukraine and Russia and all that stuff. They need to talk to people like us who have experienced it and be like, hey, I don't have a problem going to war. No issue. What I do have a problem with is going there for no real reason. Like, what are we doing? Have we exhausted every other? Because when we open up that box is opened. We can't. It's not real easy to close it. So you have to have people that have that experience, so they can say, hey, what you're asking for, you don't really know what you're getting, what you're about to get into. Like, maybe we slow down a little bit. Like, if we have to do this, fine, let's do it. Let's do it all the way. But if we don't have to do it, let's try to sidestep this one, because it's not fun for everybody.
Yeah, I think
spot on.
It's interesting, when so I in my civilian job, I still support the DoD, and it baffles me that I walk around nowadays and you don't see the combat, on the Army side, you don't see the combat deployment patches very often, even with some, E8s and down. And you go back to when we first came in and we're praying for war. That's what we all want to do. You were in the Force Recon. I was on the Ranger Regiment side, 90s. Everybody wants to go. We really hadn't seen a war. We'd had a couple of, conflicts, and not taken away from anything that anybody did in Desert Storm or in Somalia or Panama, but an all-out war was really Vietnam. And you watch those veterans that came back, and the scars that they had to put away. And it really is interesting to see. I never thought about it until, just here these last couple of years, and both of my boys are active duty now. They have what's going on in the world. It's a loud eruption. It could absolutely just spark everything, right? But we just got out of a 20-year war, and yet how quick we forget what that war really is, and how many people are. I think the leadership absolutely gets it in the military, whatever branch. But man, these 15-year and less guys, a lot of them, they just didn't see it. And it's kind of crazy, isn't it? 20 years.
I don't know that those, like, we say that I think maybe the leaders in the Army or in the military should get it, but if you look at their at their resume, especially when we're talking about the officer side, they didn't really have to get their nose that dirty. You know, when you look at their timelines, they had their little PL time, which was
PL time,
2 year
and
maybe.
it's like company commander. Now you're in a
But
executive
and
officer
even then,
position
when they
as a
were a
major.
company
Yeah,
commander, it was,
yeah.
you know, they were out doing
Yeah.
things. They didn't live under a rock like we did. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
and they definitely didn't have to, like, so, you know, and they're so removed from where the rubber meets the road by the time they make any decisions whatsoever, that, you know, for some of these guys you're talking about, like Austin, General Austin, that dude was
Yeah.
but that dude was my brigade commander in 1998. He was a brigade
Yep.
commander in 98. That means through this entire 20 years of war,
He's never
pulled a trigger on anything. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And he's the head guy.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
you look at like even at Mathis. He was already a commander, like a Marine, battalion or brigade commander when in
brigade.
2001.
I believe it was Brigade Commander Nazaria, or maybe. Yeah.
And you know, and you can't. I don't take anything away from his great quotes, but that's just talk. Anybody can come up with a one-liner. Well, like I can come up with one-liners all day long, but it's a whole different when you're actually getting when you see it, when you have to, when people talk about Iraq or they talk about like battles or whatever, my go-to question is always, what did it smell like when you were there? And if they can't fucking say what it smelled like, you can read about something all day long. You can watch all the videos you want to watch. You can watch movies about it. But if you can't tell me what the old sewage smells like when you're walking down a road in a fucking Mahala in Iraq, or what how the heat stings your nose when you're in Kuwait waiting to go into Iraq, then I don't know that I don't know that I want to take all of your great advice about the war,
Buddy,
we had somebody ask what the book was called, and that's War Junkie.
War Junkie.
Something that stuck out to me too. What's that?
We could do a whole segment on what you just talked about, buddy. Yep.
I don't want people to think it's just action and adventure stuff. So, War Junkie, a cautionary tale.
Yeah. Something that stuck out to me too, in reference to what Buddy just said, was, you'd mentioned in your book, you talk about the fear. You don't really hear people talk about it. You don't hear them talk about the senses, the 5 senses of, it's always the cool guy, or it's always the, when you see guys getting these awards, whether it's Distinguished Service Crosses, all the stuff that's in the media, the Medal of Honors, it's what they did. But there's a real fear there. Real men have real fear, and what, I guess, maybe touch on that a little bit. Why go back into that? To me, that's always an interesting, I think Buddy did multiple, I did multiple rotations over there. Why do you keep going back? What sent you back into that fight, knowing that fear already?
Yeah, I think because I showed so much fear in my first gunfight, I was embarrassed at my reaction when Tommy was killed. And maybe this is an unrealistic expectation, but I felt like people kind of looked at me like, what the fuck, man? I didn't immediately return fire. It was later in the gunfight, before I really got my shit together. I dove for cover, man. I once my brain realized Tommy's dead, someone out there is looking through the glass at me, right? I didn't know it was Juba, obviously, but I knew someone was glassing me, man. And I just dove to the ground, and I was fucking frozen, man. It might've been 5 minutes. It might've been 10 minutes. I don't know. But man, it took a long time to mentally get my shit together. And I carried that for a long time. And I was like, this isn't who I am. After Ramadi, I decided that was a State Department gig, and I felt like I could do more. And for whatever reason, someone told me about what I call the special programs, until I can be until I get permission to say who's who or whatever. We'll just call it the special programs. I got accepted to go through their selection, and I was a first time go. Very fortunately, very capable people didn't make it. It's not a ding on them. Just the top of the food chain. And I went back in very, very small teams, more or less looking for the enemy. It was the highest, at the time, it was the highest risk, highest casualty, and also highest paying program there was. I did it for nearly 10 years and had plenty of close calls. And I wish I could explain it to you guys. And I know you have the exact same feeling, the exact same frustration. I can't explain it. It's like a moth to a flame. I know it's bad for me, but I can't fucking help it. I have to go back. There was just something about it, man. I just had to keep doing it. And like I said, I did it for 10 years, man. I was on the special programs for 10 years. I went back to Ramadi, man. As fucked up as Ramadi was, I spent a lot of time in Ramadi. I spent a lot of time in Kandahar. I went to Jbad, a lot of places, man. Again, I can't explain why. I think we're all kind of like that. But man, I just couldn't get enough of it, as crazy as it sounds.
I think it's probably a super difficult question to answer because it's so multifaceted. You know what I mean? Because part of it is because we're all built to we don't want somebody to do a job that we could have or should have. We think that we should be able to do. So I don't want you to carry my 240, if it's my job, if it's the job that I took, I don't want it. So I want to go finish the job. That's always one. But I've told people before who asked about it, whether it was in a class for college or just in discussion, it's it's easy to get somebody to do something like that or go to kill somebody for hate.
Yeah.
Super easy. It happens all the time. You get pissed off, people get mad, they murder somebody else. But the reason that you do it consistently over and over and over is not out of hate. It's out of love for the people that you're with. You know what I mean? Or because you don't want them to have to deal with what you're dealing with. There are plenty of times where I know for me, I had the opportunity and I've even had to talk to my son about that before or about this before is I feel like there are a lot of times where I had the reason that my marriage didn't work was because I had the opportunity to choose path A and stay home or path B and go. And every single time without question, I chose path without hesitation. I chose path B, but I didn't choose path B because I didn't want to be at home. I chose path B because I couldn't live with the repercussions of not being there if something happened. You know what I mean? And you only do that if you love the people that you're around and you love the people that you're with. I think that's something that a lot of people don't understand. They think that, when you join the army, it's oh, let's go kill. And yeah, it's like a football game. You know what I mean? Not the part where you record your son because it's his last game, but the part where, if you're hyped up, that'll take you through a quarter. But actually being motivated and having something that you're playing for will take you through the full game. Hating somebody will take you through 2001 to 2003. Loving the people that you're with takes you to 2021. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to hit on that real quick. A lot of times life is just so much easier over there. Yeah, you're dealing with a lot of shit, but I think a lot of us can, attest to this, that if you do have a good support network, I did 27 months total Iraq, Samarra, Iraq, and then Baghdad, Iraq. And Samarra was brutal. But that's all you worry about is your brother, your left and your right. You're not worried about finances. You're worried about staying alive, and that is it. That's why it's so hard when you come back, the transition piece to being back to normal, regular life. But in some cases, it's so much easier. It really is. Yeah,
it's literally like being addicted to drugs or alcohol, because while you're doing it, all of the problems that you had go away.
They go away, man.
Doesn't matter.
I couldn't wait to go. 14
Yeah.
rotations. It was literally go for 16 weeks,
14.
come back for
Wow.
and then come back for 2 rotations on that jort and go back for 16 weeks. I couldn't wait to get back because you don't have the kids on your legs, wanting that extra time. You don't have the training.
No financial issues. You're just not even thinking about any of that.
Yeah. If you don't want to deal with home, you're not calling.
And there's less bullshit garrison stuff that you have to deal with.
It's a very good, especially in the 82nd. Yeah, especially in the 82nd.
Well, Kurt, what are the takeaways? I think, for me, when my boys ask me about it or people ask me about that, there's a human factor. You're trained to go do a job, and I think ultimately over there, it's easier to put it behind you. It's when you come home, right?
Yeah.
It's when you come home and you have to process, and you're going to memorials.
Yeah.
What I guess my question would be, kind of 2 questions. What are the good takeaways that you cherish those moments, those feelings, and then what's the downside? The spending your life.
Yeah.
Going back and coming back, obviously your family suffers on this side, and mentally we all have to kind of patch that apart. But what are those 2 sides to that? And I don't want to ruin the book if you covered that in the book.
I appreciate the question, and like I said, I was told not to give out too much of my book because I just want to talk about it, man. I didn't think the book would be that big a deal, man. I'm getting phone calls from some pretty big names. I'm like, hey, man, this shit's just a hobby, man. And they're like, no, man, you got a winner. And I'm like, well, fuck, I still got a day job, so whatever, and a family and dogs and kids and shit. So
there's not enough people talking about it.
There's not. On the positive side, man, I hate to be a stereotype or whatever, man. I'll make it simple. If you saw the movie Pat, when he's giving the motivating speech and he's like, man, when you got your grandson on your knee, you don't have to say you shoveled shit in Louisiana, man. That was a big part of it, man. I mean, we got to do something that precious few people get to do. The people I was with. I won't say any names because I don't have their permission, but I see these podcasts of people who are very well respected and they should be. And these were teammates. These were just guys in the room. I'll say one because he's passed on, Chris Kyle. In Ramadi, we had 4 on the compound was called, oh fuck, I'll say it and deny it later. Shark Base. Shark Base was 4, we'll just say 4 houses. House 1 was the SEALs, house 2 was Rangers, house 3 was us, and house 4 was the D-boys. And I'm telling you, it was ground zero for everything happening in the Anbar. And the Anbar was ground zero for GWAT. Like my buddy Rusty Pugh used to say, it's the Super Bowl of special operations, and you get to play the starting role. And brother,
I may have been there during your time, to be honest with you.
Oh, I'm sure we were. All the guys you see on the internet, I've shook hands with them, but they weren't famous. They were just guys in the room. So now you're in civilian life and you're looking at who people look up to, and they're like, this person's a god. And you're like, yeah, I knew that guy. Oh, bullshit. You didn't know that guy. And I'm like, okay, man, I didn't know him. Fuck it. I don't want to. Honestly, I'm not
going to argue with you. Yeah.
No, whatever. Yeah.
The downside is, man, it's when Buddy was talking about the football analogy earlier, man, I couldn't help but think of Napoleon Dynamite and the uncle with football or whatever.
And the uncle.
Yeah. Oh, Uncle Rico.
Oh, what's his Uncle Rico?
Yeah. And I could toss a football over that goddamn extend over that mountain back in the 80s. Yeah. Coach put me in. I don't want fucking state.
Nobody wants to be Uncle Rico, man. But I mean, on some level, and man, it gets a little dark here, but on some level, man, you were God on Mount Olympus, man. And at some point, you have to look yourself in the mirror and realize, man, you're no longer on Mount Olympus. And man, that is one fucking hell of a pill to swallow. I've made peace with it as best I can. Again, it gets a little dark, man. At this point in my life, I've had more teammates kill themselves that have been killed in action, and I've seen a lot of people killed in action. So that's a really shitty number, man. So the downside, I was an alcoholic in the 90s. Luckily, I kicked it before GWAT. But alcoholism is huge. Drug use, I was very fortunate to kind of pass that over, but I see it. And when I say drug use, I'm including, again, I'm not a doctor.
All the pills, pain pills, all that stuff.
Pills.
Yep.
My first wife was addicted because I was always gone, man. Our skill set was in high demand, and I was always gone, man. And, it is what it is. Drug use, alcoholism, PTSD. I mean, right now I have thoughts that I'm like, man, I can't think like that and function in society. I probably need to talk to somebody. That's kind of what spurred the book. Because when someone says, man, I'll whip your ass, they'd be like, no, you can't. And I will peel off your fucking skin and drag your dead body behind my car. And you mean it. Like, you know what I mean? And that's probably not something you want to think. Like, you know what I mean? Hey, man.
Might not be good for public consumption.
Right. Yeah, exactly. But it's like, hey, man, these are thoughts that go through your head. It's like, man, you don't want to know how far I'm willing to go, because I can tell you a few stories of how far I've gone, and I'm not proud of it, man. But again, man, I'm trying to fit in with everybody and everything. And hey, what do you think about? Well, goddamn, I think about shooting a machine gun. I think about flying a gunship. I think about my first medevac call. I think about all kinds of shit. I mean, if you're asking me what I think about, or should I just say, nothing? How's it going, Bob? Whatever. I do that too. Fucking, how's the weather?
I believe that there are generally two types of people in the world, especially right now. They're the type of people that hope that everything goes well and that people get along, and then there are a type of people that hope, at least a little bit, that things don't go well, because they're really tired of hiding their inner, like, the things they think about. And they're like, you motherfuckers, they're the motherfuckers that are like, just wait, you fucking wait, dude. As soon as the internet goes down and you people start losing your minds, you're gonna learn today.
Yeah.
You're gonna learn. You're talking a lot of smack right now.
And like,
you pulling the same purpose out of what you're doing now? Are you pulling that same purpose out of that mission, that purpose that you had back in those days?
No, man, nowhere near, brother. And again, this is not a ding on society or anything like that. This is my purpose is my family. Now I'm remarried, luckily. Found my soulmate, and I know that sounds cheesy as fuck, but she's as fucked up as I am, to be honest with you. And she's kind of hot, or very hot. So it worked out for me. Everyone goes through a divorce. Everyone has problems. As far as purpose goes, I tried to show purpose. I'm still in the Guard. When I was flying, I tried to show purpose to the younger pilots, like, hey, man, these are some of the things you want to look out for. And a lot of people really liked it. And some people, I don't know how else to explain it. They were kind of jealous that people were looking at me and not them. And I'm like, hey, dude, I'm not trying to take your job. I'm trying to keep everybody alive. I'm trying to bring forward this knowledge. So that's where I really had purpose. But I see less and less reasons. So I'm just giving 100% to my family. And if this, I guess my purpose is putting the book out because it's stories of heroism, but also the bad side of it. So I guess my purpose is, hey, man, you've done a lot of shit for this country, guys and girls. No one patted you on the back. Let me tell you, I've seen some fucking heroism, man. And I want those people recognized. Real quick, Dominic Oliveri, he is now a captain at Delta Airlines. Him and his crew deserve the Distinguished Flying Cross. I'm not going to stop until I get them the Distinguished Flying Cross. They deserve it. That's one of many stories I have where people were shit on by incompetent leaders. And I'm not going to let the fucking incompetent leaders rest either. God damn it. I'm coming after you, you careerist motherfuckers. I'm going to let everyone know you're coward pieces of shit. I may be able to use your real name, you fat motherfuckers, but God damn it, everyone's going to know you're a coward. And I'm going to point out the fucking people that I saw do heroic shit, man, because they deserve it. I mean, I'm just being honest with you, man. I saw incredible shit in a 30-year career, man, and these guys barely got a pat on the back. Some of us got investigated, man. I literally got investigated for accomplishing a mission I was ordered to do. So, again, man, I guess my purpose is bitching. I don't know. That's my purpose.
Oh, I did that for 21 years.
I'm not gonna lie. I got a little bit of movement down below when you started talking about
Yes.
calling out incompetent leaders. I was
Yes.
like, oh,
Yes.
what?
Yeah,
Here we go. Yeah.
man. Yeah, they're out there. They're out
No
there
kidding.
like the fucking flu.
Yep.
Oh, Ginger Avenger. I'm assuming you know him. Says, "Goddamn Tadpole, I miss and proud of you." Mikey's 16 to 17. Yeah.
Mikey, he won't tell you. He deserves, I would say, perhaps the Distinguished Flying Cross. We were engaged by anti-aircraft artillery. He was one of the first people to notice it, and he was like, "Hey, you need to fucking do something." I didn't see what he saw. I was able to maneuver the aircraft away from the anti-aircraft artillery. The other aircraft got shot up. It's a long story. It's in the book, but basically, everyone, I'm not shitting on anybody. Everybody has a first time outside the wire. And if you come from the ground side of things, you're able to recognize attack indicators easier or more easily than someone on their first show. But Mikey's a good dude. Mikey saved many people's lives. Again, he's not gonna beat his chest, man, but he's a solid motherfucker, man. He was the medic for one of my old teammates that I didn't see, Central Ramadi. I saw him 10 years later. And in case anyone misinterprets this, I did not fly the helicopter that picked him up. I was second up. So once he was brought back, I would have taken him to a higher level of care. But I went over to the cache and I saw him. His name was Wanka. He was our sniper in Ramadi. And man, he's got a fucking neck brace and he's all fucked up. You know, he rolled down a fucking hill. And I was like, "Hey, Wanka, you motherfucker." And he's like, "Hey, who the fuck is that? I'm Tadpole." You know, but Mikey was the medic who saved several people's lives. Natsuki Hama as well. A lot of people have a lot of stories, and I've tried to put their stories out there as best I can.
This is the platform to do it. I mean, we would love, anybody that's watching, Mikey, whoever, love to bring him on and talk about some of that stuff, man.
Yeah. If you don't mind, I'd like, I'll throw some names at you, man. Natsuki Hama, and I hate to put his business out there, but he's a real good friend of mine. He's dealing with a lot of shit as a flight medic. There was an incident that was pretty well known. I think Eddie Gallagher may have talked about it at length, but essentially, long story short, team guys are out on patrol. Their soft EOD guy is trying to reverse. I forgot what it's called. Not the Buffalo. I forget which one it is. He opens up the door to clear his six. He looks out and he gets fragged with an ID. So they were glassing him, waiting for him to try to, and then they cooked it off. Natsuki got there as the flight mate. Well, they called it, the team guys called in a 9-line. I was on second up, so I was not first up. Again, second up takes the patient to a higher level of care. First up is the aircraft that goes out and picks up the wounded. But Natsuki was on there, and they were delayed multiple times, again, by the criminal incompetence, which is our generals. And again, I'm a Marine, and I don't know Mattis, but the first thing I heard about him was he denied a medevac in 2001. That just made me want to fucking say, you know what, that's all I need to hear.
You must be talking about when we denied a medevac. You know what? I'm not gonna go. Not even gonna. Yep.
Yeah. So
for a group of individuals somewhere in Afghanistan.
Oh
yeah.
And that's the thing, man. The thing was that pisses you off, man, is like you have I don't want to, fucking pat myself on the back or whatever, man, but the tier 1 guys in Iraq in the 16-17 deployment knew me by name just because I answered the phone. And then they found out I was a recon guy and all the special programs and all that. And they just liked talking to me because I could speak their language. The problem was the bureaucracy to launch a medevac aircraft. And then these guys are in there like, "Hey, Kirk, I thought you were going to fucking hook us up." And it's like, "Hey, brother, absolutely." Now, I wasn't on duty, but let me just be devil's advocate. When I get a 9-line call, I have to go to the TOC. I have to call a fucking 1-star general who owns the aircraft. I have to say, "Sir, we got a 9-line request. The guy's wounded. Yes, sir, I checked the weather. Yes, sir, I checked the enemy situation. Yes, sir, the aircraft has been maintained. Yes, sir, he really is needing a medevac." Thank you, sir, for allowing me to do not my job. I hang up the phone. Then I pick up another phone. And I call what's called the PEC, the Patient Evaluation Council. It's a bunch of fucking doctors, right? No offense. Thank you, doctors, but I don't tell you how to do doctor shit. Don't tell me how to do fucking helicopter shit, right? Yes, doctor, I've checked the weather. Yes, I've checked the enemy situation. Yes, I believe he needs to be medevaced. Yes, thank you. Yes, I've talked to the 1-star. Thank you very much. I hang up. Then I got to call the fucking 2-star because he owns the battle space. And it's like, yes, sir, I've checked the weather. Yes, sir, I've checked the enemy situation. Yes, sir, the aircraft is flyable. Yes, sir, the crew has gotten enough sleep. Yes, sir, I believe he needs medevac. And then, so I have to check in with 3 different people. And then it's whether or not I need gunship support. I mean,
that's a lot of time wasted,
brother. And that's what happened. Like I said, man, I hate to bring his name up, but I think he just kind of needs to talk about it, man. I love the guy more than life. Natsuki Hama. I'll give Nick his contact info, man. Love to talk to this guy, man. He would like to, if there's a way for him to connect with that individual's family. Again, I don't feel comfortable telling you how deep they went into the life-saving process in the helicopter because It's not a story, but I really think he needs to get it off his chest. And that would help out my friend a great deal.
100%. We're all in. Yeah. No questions asked.
That sounds like a worthwhile endeavor anyway.
Thank you very much.
That could be a real thing. Yeah, the fact that at some point during that 20 years of war, we went from fighting terrorism, ISIS, Al Qaeda, Taliban, to the most risk averse group of individuals. Like I said, I remember, back in 2003, 2004, be a staff sergeant and go out, take a few guys and go out and do a patrol because that's what you had.
Yeah.
Fast forward to 2010, even like if you didn't have a lieutenant and a platoon sergeant, like you weren't going anywhere without less than 30 people, just because you didn't want to get in trouble. And it was like, well, what are we doing?
Yeah, they I remember them even moving at that time to, platforms like, well, you're not going out on target if you don't have an ISR platform, or, no, you can't shoot back if you're not in a tick and you're not being
2009 was the worst deployment ever. It was such a waste of time.
I remember
we couldn't leave the wire without the Iraqi army.
Remember when we
Iraqi National Police? Yeah.
Remember when we couldn't leave? We couldn't. I shit you not. The 2009 deployment in Baghdad, we were told at one point that we were not allowed to leave our camp unless it was between the hours of midnight and 4 o'clock in the morning. Like, thanks for narrowing the window of opportunity for them to do anything. P.S. They had also decided it would be a great idea to put T-walls all the way down the side of the road to channelize us onto this road.
That's literally all we did.
They just put
infantry guys.
The EFPs on the back side of the T-walls, because they'd go through the T-wall, through our truck, and through the vehicle, and through the house on the other side.
And we had the huge MRAPs too, but it didn't matter.
I got bitched at by the colonel at one point, because we were driving trucks through. We had a big 18-wheeler with us, and we were just pulling security for them to get from the SUJ to Loyalty.
Mm-hmm.
We got hit by an EFP. It went through one of the vehicles, but it didn't cause any. It didn't kill anybody. Didn't cause any real big damage. I got it up from the vehicles, and I was like, "Hey, fuck it, push through. Let's go." We got back. We got over to Loyalty, and they were like, "Why didn't you stay there and like cordon it off and do all this?" I was like, for what, motherfucker? If something had happened, that 18-wheeler's not turning around. You put T-walls on the side of the road. We can't do anything. You provided the enemy cover and concealment while giving us no fields of fire. And then you want me to just sit there? Nah, son, I'm good.
No,
weird that you never got hit.
I feel like honestly, I had more PTSD from that deployment than I did from Samara. And Samara was action full, like everyday firefights, like crazy shit. But that was just man. Yeah. All they did was mortar us, and we couldn't do shit. I did my chew. I'm like, this is the night. We didn't have cover over our chews. Like, it was just like,
You get more
Well,
more
at first you had the bright idea with
stress
those
from the
T-walls.
bureaucracy. What's up?
Yeah.
What's that?
What'd you say, Rob?
bright
We didn't
ideas
catch
with the
that.
T-walls, you dude that put them up in our city.
Yeah,
One way in,
no,
one
Yeah, we
way
were right
out.
next to
No,
Sutter City.
no, Rob, those are literally the T-walls I'm talking about.
Yes.
They were on the side
Those
of
were on
Sutter
Route
City.
Gold and
Yeah,
Route
but
Loyalty.
once you jumped on the other side of that canal, they T-walled both
18
sides of the
foot
road.
high. Yeah.
That main
Yep.
road, you had to go
Yeah.
to. It was for like 2 or 3 miles. Nothing
could
but
go wrong?
T-walls
We get out of the
honestly
vehicles and
here,
just walk
and it-
down the road.
And it was
It's
just like,
oh, fuck.
why are we doing this? And they're like, that's
Yeah.
so cute. It's to protect it so that it protects us from the vehicles just pulling in at random spots. We're like, but
Oh,
now they
that's
don't
so
have to
bad,
pull
man.
in to blow us up. They can do whatever they
And there was-
want.
yeah. There were spans like 4 or 5 weeks like straight that we wouldn't leave the wire.
Yeah.
And it's like, fuck, what am I doing here?
What am I-
Like, just fucking send me home, man.
And that,
Wasting
we all-
taxpayers' dollars. Like, that was brutal.
Yeah.
we all come to that conclusion, man. My fucking jackass idea, man, was I would just go join a foreign military, man. Maybe I would have better luck. So I got out of the army and I joined the Kurds. I was like, well, at least they're fucking fighting because the U.S. military isn't doing a god.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
fucking-
Crazy times, man.
Oh man, I can't wait to read your book, Kirk. I think
Thank
it's going to be
Yeah. Same here.
Thank you so much.
just reading your resume was enough to just
Yeah,
like,
it was hilarious.
damn,
Nick
wait,
sent it
what?
to us. He's like, this guy's
This
serious
motherfucker-
business. And
You know
I'm like, all right,
You know
what do we got?
Kirk, you know what pissed me off more about your resume than almost anything?
What?
The fact that I put in my flight packet when I was 33 years old, and they were like, "Nah, dude, you're too old." It was the year before I went to Ranger School and then went SF after that. I was like, I looked at your resume. I was like, "Hey, hold on a second."
Kurt got in, he was 59 or 60 or something like that.
To be fair, funny. To be fair, the oldest guy to go to flight school at 39. I was the oldest guy to transition to Apaches at 49. But to be fair, I went to the recruiter, and he was 82nd guy. I was like, "Hey, man, I found out about this warrant officer program. I want to join." He's like, "How old are you?" And I told him, I think I was 37. And was, you're too old. I was like, "Nah, man, I know there's waivers." He goes, "Nah, man, the waivers stopped 2 weeks ago." I was like, "Hey, look, motherfucker, I've played the recruiter game before. Show me on a fucking piece of paper or whatever." No bullshit. Guy goes back to the office, the senior NCO, whatever comes out. He's like, "Oh, no shit. You fucking stopped waivers 2 weeks ago. I'm 2 weeks late." He goes, "Nah, man, I know some guys in the National Guard, man. The National Guard can give you an age waiver." So that's they were legitimate about cutting off waivers for active duty. The fun part about that is I was number 3 in my class. The guys who were number 1 and number 2 were number 1 and number 2 because they beat me on the run by 5 seconds and 8 seconds. That's what fucking separated number 1, number 2, and number 3 in my flight school class. So
Those are run time.
I'm not gonna lie. It's no more. See, it doesn't piss me off anymore to look at your resume and be like, "This motherfucker," than it did when I went to 5th group and a helicopter landed and this 80-year-old fucking dickhead got out of the fucking pilot seat and I'm like, wait a second, hold up, I was too old at 33, but Father Time was around when they just had like the helicopter was the number 1. That's all they called it. It was just the one, and they only had 2 of them. This motherfucker was flying around in that son of a bitch, and then he's like, "Hey, everybody got to jump out of the aircraft today." I was like,
"Yeah,
motherfuckers."
Trust me, man. I knew it was something I could do later in life and support the guys on the ground versus being the guy carrying the rifle in the rucksack, and that was the biggest biggest reason I still wanted to be one of those guys. But I knew that if I went into aviation, particularly tactical aviation, I'd have a good chance of being around, guys like us, basically.
Yeah. Who's doing AAR, Dave?
You got it, bud. We got 5 minutes. I just gave Chris a 5-minute window. We started a little bit later. We need to have you back on. I think we could do a 2-hour segment on this. Yeah, that's all you, buddy. Or Rob can handle the AAR.
There's a script, you nerd. I think it's Rob.
I do think it's
Yeah,
Rob.
but I don't know what I'm doing.
Well, first and foremost, Kurt, for everybody that tuned in, again, where can we get the book? Amazon, you know, do you have a website? Can people reach out to you? Is there a Facebook page, Instagram?
Yeah.
Like, share us your social media.
All of my social media is KG Spradley Author. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I have kgspradleyauthor.com. That's my website. And I'm waiting on the DOD and a couple of government agencies to say that I did not disclose any info in the book. So the book is ready. It's ready to fucking go, man. It's fucking cleared hot, but I need for these certain government organizations to say I didn't give away info, and then I can publish it. It'll be on Amazon, and then a very good friend of mine, Ron Syvac. If y'all go to his site, I do a lot of stuff on Facebook. KG Spradley Author on Facebook, and you can see Ron Syvac on there. He's a good buddy of mine, former Army soldier. He's got a radio background, and he's going to do the audio. He's got a great voice, and he's got his own studio. So I'll release the book, and then a few months later, the audio. Right now, I'm just waiting on official approval to say I didn't give away any classified information.
Nice.
I would appreciate you guys looking at Facebook, because I put the Thursday's excerpts out there, and you can go back and look at it and see the Thursday's excerpts that I've already put out there. Some of it's funny. I think it's funny. Some of it is a little dark. I don't want too many funny stories. I want people to know, man, there's a fucking dark side to this shit. But that's about it.
I can't wait to read it. And as soon as you get that green light, let us know too, so we can, you know, share the word across all of our platforms. Because yeah, this is probably gonna be an amazing book. I'm really excited about it.
Thank you so much.
Rob,
you got the AR. It's your turn.
It's your turn.
Well, I mean, if I knew what I was doing,
New guy.
I think you did amazing, Rob. I think you did better than Nick, actually.
Well, I'm better looking for sure, right? We can at least
for sure, and you're not as full of yourself either. You know, you're very, you know, like you're good to go. You know,
very humble.
Speaking of Nick, I'm about to see him in an hour, so it'll be fun.
Hey, it's great meeting you, Kurt. I started looking, and the portions. I don't know if we have the whole book, but the portions that I have that Nick sent me, I'm probably about 3/4 of the way through that. Actually, just speed reading it. It's captivating, you know. So everybody out there listening, you guys go check it out. War Junkie, Cautionary Tale, KG Spradley. I'm really looking forward to getting through it. Would love to even have you back on, you know. Once the book comes out, you know, you have a really unique. It's just not that typical. I joined when I was 19. I went into the GWAT. I spent all this time over there. You went from Marine Corps back before pre-GWAT to going through organizations and serving in another capacity to flying helicopters. And, you know, now you're part of the old guy brigade, like, you know, what I like to call the graybeards, and still contributing, you know, and being able to have that dark side, you know, to it, which I think we've all been there. Some of us are still there. That's what this whole, you know, veteran trash talk is about, is that platform.
Yes, sir.
But, you know, more importantly, being able to make light of it. You know, we all have kind of dark personalities, and, you know, so it seems like a really good balance in there. So if you're out there listening, go check the book out when it's available. Really, really thank you for your time and coming on.
Man, thank you. If one more thing, I just want to say thanks
Absolutely.
to Jim Danow. He did a lot of editing early on and got me into the book. And if you guys get a chance to go to trmadison.com, Wombat. Now, he's an aviation guy, but he supported people like us in contact. And just tell him Tadpole sent you. Just try to boost. You know, he's got a few books out, and he's helped me as far as how to get my book going, stuff like that. So if you guys should roll over to those sites, man, and just say Tadpole sent me, let him know. Just show some love to another veteran.
Would it help you for people to like your Facebook or Instagrams and all that?
Yeah,
Okay.
just send me again. The Facebook's like, you know, me and my wife, we do our thing here. We don't need social media. The social media is for the book, and then I'm halfway through my second book. It'll be a novel, and I've already got, you know, like 3 and 4 stacked up in the fucking cast stack, man. So I've always wanted to write, and now I got a chance. So yeah, get on there, Facebook, especially Instagram, Twitter. KG Spradley, author. Send me a friend request, man. I'll guarantee you access to my stuff. Just look on there, read my excerpts. If you think they're funny, great. Comment, whatever you want to do. Any lessons learned, you know, go right ahead, man.
And I don't want to make a
Hey,
Marine
exciting
joke,
stuff.
but you're
Yeah.
not writing the initial drafts in crayon, right?
Well, it was in crayon, but then I sent it to a professional editor, and they edited it. They're like, "Hey, bro, we can't use fucking."
Perfect.
You know,
If you don't write the introductory, like just the introduction, like
In
just
crayon?
the word introduction in crayon, just to fuck with
That's
people,
got it. That's
that would
classic.
be fun.
that'll be actually one more. Jason Morrison, theperfectfuckinglife.com. He was the first one to write a book of all of us. He's a recon guy, and he's going to write.
We had him on, didn't we? We had him on.
You did.
I think
You had
so.
Yeah.
your first podcast. He's going to write it in crayon, and if he doesn't, man, you fucking call him out. So there you go.
Awesome.
I
Hey,
also
again,
have to
go
say,
ahead, buddy.
Rob, that AAR, I'm gonna go with like a 7.5, 8 out of 10. Definitely better than Nick. So
I'm gonna go with an A+ because he was put on the spot, didn't know he was doing it, and then reacted
maybe
and made it happen.
maybe we have to have we're getting to a point where we got to vote on whether or not. Like,
Maybe
Nick might have fucked himself out of a job.
Yeah, that's what I'm
fired
saying.
from your own at your own company.
Yeah. The CEO might be getting too busy doing stuff behind the curtains, just managing the company, and then
That's
we're
right.
just getting out here getting after it. Love you, Nick. If you're watching, I'll see you soon.
Yeah.
Anyhow, hey, again, great having you on. This was some great discussion. Thanks to the Baker, our audio guy and tech guy, who fixed all the issues that we were having prior to the show, and he's on right now, able to cut the live. So that's awesome. When you go green and the book launches, let us know. Shoot Nick a message. I'll add you on my personal Facebook as well. Like, we'd love to post it and then have you back on, and some of the people you spoke about as well, because I think their message needs to be heard. And I'm happy you're getting after that. To everybody that tuned in, Ron, Brian, Shannon, Nell, Jason, thanks again. Go to VeteranTrashTalk.com. That's our website. It has links to everything: YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, our store, shop.veterantrashtalk.com, where we sell some awesome merch. Today I'm wearing the Only Infantry, one of my favorite shirts. Not only fans, okay? Only Infantry. And we got some awesome crayon shirts for the Marines that are watching too, so you should go check them out. Yeah. We will catch you guys next Saturday. Love y'all. Baseman VTT out.
Hold on.
That is awesome.
How did he just have shit go off on his thing? What the fuck is going on? There's a laser
we
show
might still be
going on his
live, guys. So let me make sure Chris is.
Thanks for watching and listening. And now a word from our sponsor, 4Patriots. In a startling description, the UN food chief warned the world with the words, knocking on famine's door. He called what we're facing a perfect storm of a perfect storm. And he's not alone. Barron's published that a food shortage could be coming, even in the U.S. Farmers see it too. John Boyd Jr., a fourth-generation farmer, told Fox News that we're going to see empty food shelves in the coming months. That's why getting survival food is more important than ever now. Create your own stockpile of the best-selling 4Patriots survival food kits. It's not ordinary food. We're talking good for 25 years super survival food. Hand-packed in a family-owned facility in the USA and giving jobs to over 200 Americans. They have different delicious breakfasts, lunches, dinners. You can make these meals in less than 20 minutes. Just add boiling water, simmer, and serve. And right now, for the next few days, listeners of the Veteran Trash Talk podcast will get 10% off their first order at 4patriots.com.